Welcome back, students. Today we'll be seeing a lesson from Standard 10th English, Joan of Arc, written by George Bernard Shaw. Let us know a little bit more about George Bernard Shaw. Shaw was born on July 26, 1856, in Dublin, Ireland. As while he was growing up, he realized his passion for writing, and soon he came to London to follow his dream. He spent his entire life in London and died on 2nd November 1950 at the age of 94 in United Kingdom. George Bernard Shaw was not merely the best comic dramatist of his time, but also one of the most significant playwrights in the English language since the 17th century. Some of the writers have even gone to call him as second to only the bard, Shakespeare. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1927, and till date he remains the only person to win both an Oscar, that is the Academy Award, and a Nobel Prize. George Bernard Shaw was also a critic, a polemicist, and a political activist. A polemicist is a person who engages in controversial debates. His popular quotes include, "Do not try to live forever, you will not succeed." Another one says, "Take care to get what you like, or you will be forced to like what you get." One more quote of his is, "Life isn't about finding yourself, life is about creating yourself." This famous Irish playwright wrote more than 60 plays during his lifetime. Some of his famous plays and books are mentioned here: Pygmalion, Caesar and Cleopatra, Major Barbara, Saint John, Man and Superman, Arms and the Man, The Chocolate Soldier, You Never Can Tell, and Love Among the Artists. Let's quickly see, why was George Bernard Shaw inspired to write St. John? Shaw had been long curious about Joan of Arc and had considered writing a play about her in 1913. In 1920, Joan was canonized by the Catholic Church, canonized meaning declared a saint, and her story received considerable attention. Inspired by this belief, Shaw decided to write a play telling Joan's story. Let us know a little bit more about this character, Joan, on whom our lesson is based. Who was this Joan? Was she a real living person, or was she a figment of someone's imagination? Well, Joan was a real living girl who was born in the year 1412 in France. She is today considered as a heroine of France for her role during the Hundred Years' War. The Hundred Years' War was a war fought between England and France for the French throne. This Joan was born in a peasant family and brought up in a religious environment. She claimed to have received visions of the Archangel Michael, Saint Margaret, and Saint Catherine of Alexandria, instructing her to support the then heir Charles VII and recover France from English. The then unanointed King Charles VII sent Joan to the siege of Orleans as part of a relief army. She gained prominence after the siege was lifted only 9 days later, and very soon this led to the coronation of Charles VII as King of France. This long awaited event boosted French morale and paved the way for the final French victory. However, soon after the war, in 1430, Joan was captured by a group of French nobles uh, who were with the English, and she was handed over to the English. The English put her on trial on a variety of charges and declared her guilty. She was later burned at stake, that is, burned in public on a wooden pole, on 30th of May 1431. Joan was only 19 years of age at her death. Later on in 1456, a court examined her trial, debunked the charges against her, pronounced her innocent, and declared her a martyr. In the 16th century, she became a symbol of the Catholic League, and in 1803 she was declared a national symbol of France by the decision of Napoleon Bonaparte. She was beatified in 1909 and canonized in 1920, meaning she was declared a saint in 1920. Joan of Arc is one of the 9 secondary patron saints of France. She has remained a popular figure in literature, painting, sculpture, and other cultural works since the time of her death, and many famous writers, playwrights, filmmakers, artists, and composers have created and continue to create cultural depictions of her. She will ever remain in the memory of France and literary enthusiasts who have read her life. Now that we have seen about the main character Joan, let us look at where our lesson begins. Well, this lesson is an extract from the play written by George Bernard Shaw on the character Joan. So, this lesson begins when a war fought between England and France from 1337 to 1453 has come to be known as the 100 Years' War. Joan was a peasant girl born in eastern France who led the French army to several victories during this war. This play begins at the time when all of northern France and some parts of the southwest were under foreign control. The English controlled some parts and the Burgundians controlled the others. The city of New Orleans, one of the few remaining French cities, was held by the English. This year is 1429, and Captain Robert de Baudricourt, a military officer, is seated at the table. His steward stands facing him. And here begins our lesson. Let us now get acquainted with the main characters of the lesson. We have Joan, then we have Robert de Baudricourt, a French steward, and Bertrand de Poligny. This lesson, which is a part of the book written by George Bernard Shaw, is actually written in the form of dialogues. It's a play, and hence we have characters talking in dialogues in this lesson. Let's begin with the lesson. Robert, I told you to throw the girl out. You have 50 armed soldiers and dozens of strong servants to carry out my orders. Are they afraid of her? Steward, no, sir, we are afraid of you. But she puts courage in us. She really doesn't seem to be afraid of anything. Perhaps you could frighten her, sir? Robert, grimly, perhaps. Where is she now? Steward, down in the courtyard, sir. Robert goes to the window and asks the soldiers to send the girl up. The girl enters. She is a well-built, strong country girl of 17 to 18 years. The squire's glare neither frightens her nor stops her. She speaks confidently. Now here we see that the conversation is between Robert, the military officer, and his steward. Steward means an officer who is under the main military officer. and they are both discussing about this girl. This girl is Joan. She she has been ordered by Robert to leave the area, to leave the place. However, the even the steward and his other soldiers have not thrown her out. So here we find Robert is questioning his officer as to why have you not yet thrown her out. And he also further asks, are you all afraid of her? The steward replies that on the contrary, she puts courage in us. We are not afraid of her, we are afraid of you, sir, but she puts courage in us. See the difference between the attitude the soldiers are having towards the officer and towards a small little country girl that they have met. So Robert, who is offended by this remark and seems to like the idea that the steward had suggested, that perhaps you could frighten her, thinks that he will call her and then uh, frighten her away from the camp and ask her to leave the camp. Accordingly, he calls her. Now, look at the description that is given here of the girl. She is a well built, strong country girl of 17 to 18 years. However, the squire's glare neither frightens her nor stops her. She speaks confidently. Now, here we find that this country girl, this Joan, now why is she called as a country girl? Because she was born in a country, that's a village, and when you are born in the village, you grow up doing the work of the farm, doing the work of the village, and accordingly you are well built. You are well built because you every the whole time the villagers are doing farm work, field work, and taking care of the cattle, taking care of the huge large farmland. So there is a lot of work there, and hence we find that this girl, although she is 17 to 18 years old, yet she has the strength of like a soldier in her, and she is also confident. Now, why is she confident? Also, this confidence, children, I have told you in the background when I was discussing about Joan that she had visions of some saints who told her that you have to go and give support to the king, then only he'll be able to fight off with the English. So the confidence that she gets, it is because she believes that God has entrusted her with this responsibility, and hence she is neither frightened by the angry glare, the anger of the squire. The squire is this Robert, this officer who is looking at her very angrily, and yet she is not afraid, she speaks confidently. So here we see grimly Robert is thinking about her, and he is talking to the steward also grimly, that is seriously, and yet we find that she is not afraid. So now again we find that Joan has entered the room and to meet Robert. Joan: good morning, Captain Squire. You are to give me a horse and armor and some soldiers and send me to the Dauphin. Robert: this girl is mad. Why didn't you tell me so, you blockhead? Steward: sir, do not anger her. Give her what she wants. Robert: I shall send you back to your father with orders to put you under lock and key. Joan: you think you will, Squire, but it won't happen that way. You said you would not see me, but here I am. Robert: so you are assuming that I'll give you what you want? Now look at the conversation that happens here after Joan has entered the room to meet her. Joan is not afraid of her, in spite of him being such a big military officer of quite high rank, and she wishes him casually like any other authority. Good morning, and she is not intimidated by, she is not frightened by the angry glare of Robert. In fact, she orders him to give her what she wants. That is, she asks her that you give me a horse and armor and some soldiers and send me to the Dauphin. That Dauphin is the prince to be, the king to be, the elder son who will become the next king of the older king. And here we find that Robert dislikes the way the girl has spoken to him, and so he's asking his own steward, Is this girl mad? Why didn't you tell me so, you blockhead? He is so angered by Joan's way of talking to him that he is calling his own officer as blockhead. Blockhead means a stupid person. And the steward is more frightened of the girl than of Robert, because he is telling Robert, please don't make her angry. Do not anger her. Give her what she wants. And to which Robert very angrily says to Joan, I'll send back to your father, and with orders to put you under lock and key. Means you should not be let out at all. You should be kept under lock and key. And to all this conversation, Joan replies that you think you can do that to me? It won't happen that way. You told me you will not see me, but here I am. See, you have called me. Ultimately, I have done what I wanted to. You told me you will not call me, but here you have called me. And here I am. What do you think? She is questioning Robert. She is questioning the highest military officer there, that you think you can give me orders, but I need a horse and an armor and some soldiers to go and help our future king. So Robert here is asking her, so you assume that I'll give you what you want? Do you think, how dare you, how can you think like that? He is very angry with the way Joan has been talking and by the confidence of Joan. Maybe till now nobody had ever dared talk to him in that way. So now, looking at this confident way of speaking to him, he is becoming very angry. Let us see what happens next. Joan, yes, squire, continues busily. A horse will cost 16 francs. It is a big amount of money, but I can save it on the armor. I don't need beautiful armor made to my measure. I can find a soldier's armor that will fit me well enough. I shall not want many soldiers. The Dauphin will give me all I need to free Orleans. Robert, shocked. To free Orleans? Joan simply, yes, squire. 3 men will be enough for you to send with me. Polly and Jack have promised to come with me. Robert, you mean Monsieur de Pollengue? Joan, yes, Squire Jack will come willingly. He is a very kind gentleman and gives me money to give to the poor. I think John Godsey will come, and Dick the Archer, and their servants, John of Harncourt and Julian. There will be no trouble for you, Squire. I have arranged it all. You have only to give the order. Now let us see what happens here. Look here, children. Look at the confidence with which Joan is talking. She is not requesting. She is almost like ordering the highest military officer over there that I need all this. She is giving a list that I need, I need 16 francs, and she is even understanding that they may not have enough money. To which she says that you don't have to give me a beautiful armor, being a girl and so made to her measure or anything. Any soldier's armor is fine. An armor is the the metallic covering that they wear, so that any sword or anything doesn't hurt them. So she is ready to fit into any soldier's clothes, and although it is not written here, she had even cut her hair short enough so that people would not know that she is a female, that she is a girl. So she wanted to behave exactly like a soldier, and she said that I don't need a beautiful armor, or I don't need clothes that are made to fit my measure. I can very well adjust with any soldier's armor, and you don't need to give me anything. I don't even want many soldiers. You just give me 3 soldiers, she asks later on. 3 men will be enough. In fact, Polly and Jack have promised to come with me. Now, who are Polly and Jack? They are also very, very high ranked officers of the military, of course, but they are below Robert. But here you can find her calling them by their first names, like Polly and Jack, which is a big surprise to Robert, that how can she be so friendly with so great military men who are of such a high rank. He is quite surprised. But here we find that she has created a space for herself in this army. although many people may have been surprised at this, but she has been able to boost the morale of, to bring courage back into the blood of the people, bring courage back into the people, booster them up, give them that kind of confidence that is needed. So not only is she confident, but now she has made the entire army confident, and now they are ready to go with her to continue the war which has been going on since 100 years. That's why it is very famously called as a 100 years war, because it was fought for a span of 100 years. And as we all know that when we are fighting a war for continuously 100 years, the whole country becomes tired. So here again the French army was very tired, but Joan here is demanding very few things for her to reach up to the place where the Dauphin is staying. So she says the Dauphin has been kept under siege by the enemy. He is in a fort, inside a fort, and surrounding him, surrounding the Dauphin, the English army has kept him under siege. So here Joan is asking for very few men along with her to enter into the fort of the Dauphin and from inside fight the enemy. And so she says, yes, I want to go inside, because from here you give me only little help. I'll reach there, and once I reach there, Dauphin will give me all that I need. And Robert is very shocked at this. To free Orleans means you are talking that you will be the leader there and you will guide the men to victory. Will you bring victory to Orleans? And Joan very simply, without thinking it to be a big thing, she says, yes, 3 men will be enough. I'll go with them. And over there, these she tells the list of another 4 or 5 people who will help her in fighting. And she says, I have arranged it all. You only have to give the order. I have asked whomever I want. I have already spoken with them. They are all ready. You only have to arrange it, and I will be. I will do all that needs to be done. Plus, you also see over here that she talks about that Squire Jack is a very kind man who has given me earlier money to give to the poor. So we also see that side of Joan, that she also believes in helping others and in all those things. So let's see ahead what happens with Robert. Does he give her the permission or does he not give her the permission? Let's see. Robert to the steward. Is this true about Monsieur de Poligny? Steward eagerly. Yes, sir. And about Monsieur de Metz too. They both want to go with her. Robert goes to the window and shouts into the courtyard. Send Monsieur de Poligny to me, will you? He turns to Joan. Get out and wait in the yard. Joan, smiling brightly at him. Right, Squire. She goes out. Robert to the steward. Go with her. Stay within call and keep your eye on her. I shall have her up here again. The steward retreats hastily. Bertrand de Poligny, a French guard, enters, salutes, and stands waiting. So here we see that although he cannot believe that Polly, who is Monsieur de Poligny, has agreed to go with Joan, yet he wants to know firsthand what is the situation. So he thinks of calling him and asking him about the girl. And so he asks to call him. And at that time, the steward also tells him that it's not only Monsieur de Poligny, but it is also Monsieur de Metz who has agreed to go with her, and they both want to go with her. And hence, he calls them to come inside, and we find that in the end, Bertrand de Poligny has entered the scene, and Joan has been ordered to wait outside for his call. And not trusting Joan, Robert has asked the steward to go and keep an eye on her. We have now come to the end of this particular module of this lesson. We will be continuing this lesson in another module, but let us look at the summary of this particular part. This lesson begins where we find Robert, who is a high military officer. He asks his steward as to why Joan has not been sent away from the army, had not been sent away from their place till now, in spite of him giving orders. And to this, the steward replies that it is she who gives them hope and courage, which is why they have not been able to send her back. And hence, Robert orders a meeting with Joan. because he himself wants to dismiss her, to send her away. Joan enters the room, and Robert finds her to be a very courageous and strong girl, and Joan is not at all afraid of Robert. And immediately after meeting Robert, Joan has requested him to give all that she desires. That is, she needs men. She deserves a small a group of men going along with her, and she promises that she will help the Dauphin become the king and free Orleans from the English, free France from the English. She also talks about how many supporters she has in the army, and she names them. Robert is very surprised when he knows that two or three of his own men, whom he's trusted, have are so supportive of her. And to clear this doubt whether they really want or they really are supporting her, he calls for them to meet him. And that is what we are going to see in the further part of the lesson. Let us see the evaluation questions based on this part of the lesson. The first question is, complete the following web, and the persons needed by Joan to free Orleans. Now, if you have read the lesson properly, you will know that she has named 4 or 5 people whom she needs to free Orleans. So you can write that name here. The next question, why had Joan wanted to meet the Captain Squire? Children, please read the textbook properly. You will realize that she had some requests, she had some things that she wanted from him. So you can mention that over here, and that will be the answer to this. The next question, why did the steward not throw the girl out? Now this is coming right in the beginning of the lesson, and I have discussed this with you, that there was some reason that the steward gave, that why he did not throw the girl out. So you can write that part here. How do we know that the girl was not afraid of the squire? So this you can judge, children, from the way the girl was speaking. You know, the all that she said. So how can you say what? How did she talk? Was she afraid of the squire? Or the things that she talked, and the manner, and not only the manner, but the things that she spoke, what did she speak. So through all that you can come to know of this. So you have to read that part properly, and you have to properly write as to why you, or how can we know that the girl was not afraid. Moving on to the next question, which is grammar based. Make the following sentences affirmative without changing the meaning. Yes, children. So the first sentence is, I am not so sure now. So in all the sentences that are given, there is a negative word that is used. You have to make it into affirmative. So what you can do is, you can make over find one of the words over here of which opposite you can use, and thereby you can make it into a positive without affirmative, without changing the meaning. So I am not so sure now. The answer will be, I am unsure now. Not sure, unsure. He will not be able to stop them. He will be unable to stop them. I don't remember. I fail to remember, or I forgot. I can do no more. I can do only this much. Sir, do not anger her. Answer, Sir, refrain from making her angry, or Sir, avoid making her angry. The sixth question, I shall not want many soldiers. Answer, I shall want few soldiers. Let's go on to the next question. Fill in the gaps in the table. There is a column for noun, verb, adjective, and adverb. Children, this is the homework for you. You can find it out from the dictionary, or from your knowledge. Just fill in the table, and you can write this in all these questions in your notebook. Thank you, students, for watching this video. See you all again in the next part of this lesson. Till then, happy learning.